Nazi, bleed! Bleed, Nazi, bleed! Bleed, Nazi, bleed! Bleed, Nazi, bleed! Bleed, Nazi, bleed! I'm sorry, right here! Fuck out of here! Back up! Back up! Back up!
We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Frankly, I have yet to engage in a direct action campaign that was quote unquote well-timed in the view of those who have not suffered unduly from the disease of segregation. For years now, I've heard the word wait. It rings in the air of every Negro with piercing familiarity. This wait has almost always meant never. We must come to see with one of our distinguished jurists that justice too long delayed is justice denied.
Because I served 5.5 years! All right? So go fuck yourself!
Yeah!
In Jordan Peele's film Get Out, one of the characters asks of another character, "Why black people?" And that is the question that I think a lot of black people have. What is it? What is it? What is your problem with black people? Black people are not responsible for your lot in life. This country was founded on violence and thievery. So you already stole everything. So how can black people possibly be responsible for your lot in life? And further, we have done nothing to you. On Tuesday, November 8th, 2016, American voters decided that they would like to have a white supremacist represent them as the 45th President of the United States. On Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, 74 million voters voted once again to have a white supremacist represent them as the 45th President of the United States, even after bearing witness to 4 years of his previous performance. On Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, while chanting USA, USA, an emboldened group of domestic terrorists attacked the United States Capitol. The insurrectionists, who carried Confederate and Blue Lives Matter flags, bludgeoned to death a Trump-supporting police officer and injured countless others. The rioters were from all social strata. According to CNN, in the crowd there was a teacher, a firefighter, a professor, a real estate agent, a lawyer, an Olympic swimmer, a state representative, police officers, and a host of military veterans. And let's be clear. Even though I know that African Americans and white people in this country live in two different worlds, and even though I know and have lived with the inequalities, even I was still struck with the optic of hate-filled white people climbing on the walls of the Capitol with no barriers or no repercussions. The striking side-by-side images of the state response to Black Lives Matter protesters and those literally engaged in treason were resonant. Many tried to compare what happened in Minneapolis to what happened in Washington. It's a false equivalence. Black people were out there advocating for their human rights. These people killed people, even one of their own, and hunted down others. There's no comparison. The mob, incited by Trump, resulted in a second impeachment and subsequent trial.
And my final point, years from now, people are going to judge. They're going to judge whether we rose to the solemn occasion that is the impeachment trial of the President of the United States. And we cannot be passive in this moment. I am mindful of Coretta Scott King's words that freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it with each generation. It is incumbent on this generation to fight for a system of justice in which all are treated equally. And in that ongoing fight, we, as the United States Senate, must agree that we cannot speak about the ideals of equality and justice and then act in ways that violate those very principles. It is our duty, both as senators and as proud Americans, to protect the Constitution, to earn the people's trust, and to prove to the American people that it is still within the power of the United States Congress to hold the president accountable. History is watching.
As the Senate lacked the majority 2/3 required for a conviction, Trump was acquitted. There was no real accountability, no consequences. Not really. The president was acquitted. His congressional cohorts still retained their positions. A few people got arrested, but there were thousands of people there. There was no accountability, and there rarely ever is. There are no consequences. In 1995, Jerry Dwayne Williams, a black man, was sentenced to prison for 25 years to life for stealing a slice of pepperoni pizza, according to the Los Angeles Times. People who hold similar ideas walk among us. Like-minded people who hold similar ideas as the rioters walk among us. They are our colleagues, our neighbors, our schoolmates, and our supervisors. They are teachers, cashiers, baristas, waiters, reporters, nurses, and doctors, and congressmen.
I want to particularly congratulate President-elect Trump.
They walk among us. We have to interact with them every day. People of color have to interact with them every day. It is quite remarkable that regular, everyday white people are oblivious to the privilege that they get simply because of their skin color. They wake up in the morning with no real concept of the psychological protective armor that black people and people of color have to put on every morning before they head out the door for work or for school. But perhaps it is not oblivion as much as it is a choice. In 2008, after the election of Barack Obama, many went as far to say that we are living in a post-racial society. Bewildered black people would just shake their heads. And after the attack on the Capitol, many people repeatedly stated, "This is not us. This is not America. This is not us." It absolutely is America. The attack on the Capitol only amplified and exposed what was there all along. The Capitol attack only mirrors the microaggressions that blacks and people of color experience in their workplaces, in their schools, and indeed everywhere on a daily basis. As Robin DiAngelo describes in her book, White Fragility, systemic racism permeates every aspect of our society. And white America continues to be in denial about it. State-sanctioned violence by the police against people of color, particularly black men, is only part of the problem.
I cannot see right now. Medic! It looks like this group's got kettled. You can see the concussion grenade pieces actually in the street. Did you say you served your country?
Yes, I'm a Native veteran! I'm a fucking Laguna Pueblo and I'm a Native veteran! And what the fuck is this? This is my fucking land! This is my country! Okay? You cannot do this to our people!
We are indeed living in interesting times, as for the first time, many white Americans are getting a small taste of what black people and people of color experience on a daily basis.
Wear that fucking badge proudly! It's honorable! You're not being honorable right now! Fuck your commanders if they're telling you to do something otherwise! You can tell them no! It's okay! You're gonna hit veterans! So try it! One more grenade goes off, you're gonna have more people coming, trust me! We will get all our veterans!
In Minnesota, the police hunt. Yes, I said hunt and kill black men with impunity. But in the face of all of it, it is important to remember those who have fallen. That is what this film is about, to give space to the families of 3 such black men to tell their stories.
Yep, so they beat him to death, threw him in the dumpster. The dump truck came and picked up the body, picked up the trash can, drove it out to Evergrove Heights. He came through on the flatbed with the rest of the recycling material. So that's where I have the pictures of Justin's body dangling from the Bobcat. And his skull is cracked in half. His skull was literally cracked. His head was the size of a basketball in his casket. He has dog bites all over his body. His wrist was detached from his arms. Literally, like, you could see that his hand was one, and it was a space in between, and there was his arms. He had bruising and dog bites all over his body. And after that, that's when the harassment started, because we were trying to seek justice. They would not let us look at the video, but there is a video that was captured from the businesses in the Midway. However, they edited the video that we did get a chance to see. The St. Paul Police nor the BCA denied us the right to see the video. We were able to see the video because the lady who did the autopsy on his body said that she needed that video to conclude his cause of death. At that point, she let us look at an edited video of what happened. So when they catch him on the video goes blank. And when it comes back in, everybody's gone. But you see them catch him on the video. And so the harassment has been going on all these years. They sat outside my house. They followed me. They followed his mom. They waved at me with my son in the car. They've done everything in their power to keep me quiet. They've come up to me and protest in front of all of the families, stalking the families, stalking me. It's scary, and I am afraid of what they could do to me or my son, because they're able to kill and they're able to cover it up and they're able to walk free. And so the killers are still out here for all of our families, and we just want the justice that we deserve. As far as George Floyd, we feel that that was like Ms. Valerie said, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's hundreds of murders before George Floyd. He's the face of hundreds of murders. What you've seen in the video with George Floyd is just a snippet of what happens to all of our families, hundreds of families here in the state of Minnesota that have literally been covered up by the police departments, the jails, and the BCA. We are seeking justice. We want the videos. We want the truth, and we want justice for Justin, because he didn't deserve to die like that. It was literally a 2009 Emmett Till, the way that he was brutally beaten. It was a hate crime, and these are hunts that they're doing on our men here in the state of Minnesota.
My name is Delshia Perry, and this is my son, Hardell Sherrill. You can see in one of the videos, they allow him to fall out of the SUV flat on his face, and they just leave him there, and they stand around talking about God only knows what. And we just recently found out that there's new evidence in my son's story where there was a nurse that had gone to visit with him a couple of days before he would succumb. And she said she actually believed she was watching a murder happen before her eyes.
My name is Marilyn Hill. This is my son, Demetrius Hill. They were trying to kill my son. He was targeted. The officer stood there in the front of the apartment building waiting on my son. As he turned to go up the second level, she saw the officer open up the back door, pull the trigger, shot my son in the back. He fell. He rolled. He turned around. He shot him in the stomach, and then he shot him in the knees, what made him fall on the rail.
The space to tell one's story, the truth about one's story, is healing. The truth is rarely told by the mainstream media. So the opportunity to speak one's truth and to be listened to and heard is often met with much gratitude.
I just want to say thank you for doing this, for giving our realities a voice, for people to hear, because this is hard to do. It's hard to go out and fight and grieve and fight. But I thank God I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, because that's where I draw my strength from. So as long as he wakes me up and keeps me going and gives me the mind of Christ, and I'm in good health, I'll keep fighting until we get justice. But I just wanted to say thank you for giving us the time.
I just want to thank you for this moment. Thank you for listening. And I pray to God that something comes up out of this. And if I die before anything happens, that his name is going to be out there. His story be out there, the truth. Let it be told.
Let's be clear. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. Karma doesn't care.
USA! USA!
We're hoping to tell President Trump that this is not the way to unite people.
Do you vote?
I do vote.
Who'd you vote for?
Also, I couldn't vote because I'm transgender.
But there are a lot of good white people with goodwill. People who want to help and people who have been helping. People who value justice and equality for all. And they come from all walks of life. They are teachers, firefighters, professors, real estate agents, lawyers, Olympic swimmers, state representatives, and military veterans. People who recognize the humanity of people no matter what the color of their skin. People who are woke. They walk among us. They are our colleagues, our neighbors, our schoolmates, and our supervisors. They are teachers, cashiers, baristas, waiters, reporters, nurses, doctors, and congressmen. They walk among us. We interact with them every day. People of color interact with them every day. And these people, linked arm in arm with disenfranchised people of color, will bring about change. The upside to all of this, and let me be clear here so that there's no misunderstanding, no misconceptions. Change is inevitable. Nothing in life stays the same. Change is inevitable. According to the Economic Policy Institute, people of color will become a majority of the American working class in 2032. And according to the Center for American Progress, by 2044, the majority of the U.S. population will be people of color. They indicate that the most common age of white people in the U.S. was 58, while for people of color, it was 27. Finally, it also states that babies of color are the majority of the nation's infants right now.
Of course, Bernie Sanders gets raised. Bernie Sanders was an organizer for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in the early 60s, back when his opponent was supporting Barry Goldwater. Now, I don't hold that against Hillary Clinton. That's fine. Everybody should have a right to evolve in their thinking. But you asked me if Bernie Sanders gets raised. Bernie Sanders has gotten race all his life. Bernie Sanders is, when Bernie Sanders has not, it doesn't just say Black Lives Matter. Bernie Sanders has a program for racial justice and empowerment. And every day, new African-American supporters are coming on board. Nina Turner, myself, Cornel West. We just got Ben Jealous just decided to support
former
him.
director of the NAACP.
You know, the former director of the NAACP. Bernie Sanders gets race. And, you know, here's the reality. A lot of African Americans just haven't heard about the senior senator from Vermont.
Yeah.
I mean, Vermont's a pretty white state. And, you know, Bernie's been there in the Senate for a few years and in the House. And they just haven't been exposed. I mean, but Hillary Clinton is a household name and has been for decades. So, I mean, you can hardly claim that he doesn't get raised. Although, in the course of a political campaign, I know everybody's trying to win and they're going to try to squeeze any advantage they can. So, but at the end of the day, Bernie Sanders has been a consistent fighter for racial justice. And that's one of the reasons I'm proud to support him.
I'd like to offer amendment number HEN 20552, an amendment to the subpoena authorization. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak on the amendment on behalf of myself and Senator Booker. As has been mentioned many times, there were peaceful demonstrators who gathered in front of the White House on June 1st to protest the murder of George Floyd and were violently forced out of that area by federal law enforcement. It was subsequently reported that Attorney General Barr personally ordered their forceful removal. Of course, the protection of civil rights and liberties falls squarely within this committee's jurisdiction. It is therefore absolutely essential that we investigate the Attorney General's role and reasons for authorizing the use of force against Americans exercising their First Amendment rights, which is why, on behalf of myself and Senator Booker, I'm offering this amendment that the chairman may not issue any subpoenas under the authority of this motion until the committee has conducted a hearing to examine the conduct of Attorney General Barr on June 1st, 2020. And I think bears note that Secretary of Defense Mattis last week in reaction to that incident said, quote, "We must reject and hold accountable those in office who would make a mockery of our Constitution." Chairman Graham, I request a roll call on my amendment. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I am the Congresswoman from New York's 14th Congressional District, and this morning I had the distinct honor of meeting with representatives from frontline communities and the Climate Justice Alliance to figure out how we can bring Kentucky, how we can bring Native tribes, how we can bring the South Bronx and the direct communities impacted into the space of leadership so they can draft and lead a Green New Deal for the United States.
We can do great things, important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class and make health care secure for all. We can deliver racial justice, and we can make America once again the leading force for good in the world.
In the end, we are all one. We can either evolve and move forward as the human race, or we can choose the unconscious route and cease to exist. It's one or the other. There's no in between.